Over time, the USS Parche would become one of the most decorated submarines in American history, receiving multiple presidential unit citations and numerous commendations, many tied to missions that remain classified to this day. Its legacy is a reminder that the Cold War was not won solely by the size of arsenals, but by the quality of innovation and the courage of those willing to operate in the shadows. Beneath the surface of the ocean, far from headlines and public recognition, American sailors demonstrated that strategic superiority could be measured not only in firepower, but in precision, ingenuity, and the ability to move undetected where others believed it impossible. In the silent depths of the Cold War, the USS Parche proved that America did not merely compete for advantage, it mastered it. Modified with advanced acoustic dampening, specialized surveillance equipment, and the support of elite Navy divers trained for covert deep-sea operations, the Parche embodied the cutting edge of American naval engineering. It was built not only for combat, but for precision intelligence gathering under extreme conditions. Navigating through heavily monitored Soviet waters, the submarine maneuvered silently along the seabed, locating the communication cable and enabling the installation of listening devices that would intercept critical Soviet military transmissions. The Soviets believed their internal communications were safe from prying eyes and ears. They were not encrypted because they were considered unreachable. Yet American technology and training had quietly breached that assumption. Year after year, Parche returned, maintained the taps, and left without detection, demonstrating a level of stealth and professionalism that underscored the depth of U.S. capability. The intelligence gathered from these missions provided American leadership with direct insight into Soviet naval strategy, missile deployments, and operational planning. This was not guesswork derived from satellite imagery alone. It was first-hand access to the strategic thinking of a rival superpower. In a conflict defined by uncertainty and brinkmanship, information was power, and the United States had secured it at the source. The success of the USS Parche was not the result of chance, but of a national commitment to technological innovation, rigorous training, and disciplined execution. While the Soviet Navy expanded visibly across global waters, the United States advanced invisibly, proving that dominance in the Cold War did not always require spectacle. Sometimes it required silence. And in that silent contest beneath the sea, America had the edge. At the height of the Cold War, when the world lived under the constant shadow of nuclear war, the United States achieved something extraordinary beneath the surface of the ocean. Something so precise, so daring, and so technologically advanced that one of the most powerful naval forces on Earth never saw it coming. While the Soviet Union fortified its maritime borders and declared certain waters impenetrable, American engineers, sailors, and intelligence officers quietly proved that innovation and discipline could overcome even the most guarded defenses. Deep under the icy waters of the Pacific, in areas Moscow believed were completely secure, a U.S. submarine operated undetected for years, gathering intelligence that would shift the balance of strategic power. That submarine was the USS Parche, and its missions would become a testament to American technological superiority and operational excellence. The Cold War was often portrayed as an arms race of missiles and bombers, but the true contest extended far below the waves. Both superpowers understood that submarines carrying nuclear weapons represented the ultimate deterrent, and whoever controlled the underwater domain held a decisive advantage. The Soviet Union invested enormous resources into anti-submarine warfare systems. Hydrophone arrays, patrol aircraft, escort vessels, and layer detection networks designed to make their territorial waters untouchable. Among those waters was the Sea of Okhotsk, a region the Soviets treated as a protected bastion for their ballistic missile submarines. They believed it was secure. They were wrong. American intelligence identified a critical vulnerability, a major undersea communication cable transmitting unencrypted Soviet naval commands. The mission that followed would become one of the boldest intelligence operations of the era, Operation Ivy Bells, and the USS Parche would play a central role. What makes this story remarkable is not just that the mission succeeded once. It succeeded repeatedly. The USS Parche returned from its deployments without detection, without confrontation, without giving the Soviets any indication that their most secure communications had been compromised. The submarine would go on to become one of the most decorated vessels in U.S. Navy history, receiving multiple presidential unit citations and commendations for classified achievements. Much of what it accomplished remains undisclosed even today, but the legacy is clear. In one of the most heavily monitored maritime zones on Earth, American engineering and training outperformed an entire defensive network. The Cold War was not decided by speeches alone, nor by visible shows of force. It was shaped by moments like this, where preparation, innovation, and technological superiority quietly shifted the balance of power. The Soviet Union invested in barriers and perimeter defenses. The United States invested in precision, stealth, and ingenuity. Beneath the surface, without fanfare, America demonstrated that it could reach places others believed were secure and leave without ever being seen. In the silent depths of the Cold War, while the world watched missiles and summits, the USS Parche proved that American power did not need to announce itself to be decisive. It only needed to be better. In the early 1970s, American intelligence launched a mission so bold it bordered on unthinkable. The operation, known as Operation Ivy Bells, aimed to infiltrate those guarded waters and attach listening devices directly to the Soviet communication cable. The submarine chosen for these highly classified missions was the USS Parche, a modified attack submarine built not just for combat, but for precision intelligence work. Equipped with advanced acoustic dampening, specialized surveillance technology, and a crew trained for extreme covert operations, the Parche represented the cutting edge of American naval engineering. It was designed to do what others could not: move undetected in hostile territory. The Parche entered Soviet-controlled waters multiple times, navigating through patrol zones and sonar nets designed to expose intruders. Soviet anti-submarine systems scanned the depths, confident in their coverage. Yet the American submarine remained invisible to them. Divers exited the vessel in freezing, dark waters to attach recording devices to the communication cable, capturing sensitive military conversations that Soviet commanders believed were secure. For years, the operation succeeded. Intelligence gathered from those taps provided the United States with invaluable insight into Soviet naval capabilities, deployment patterns, and strategic thinking. It was not simply espionage. It was informational dominance. At the height of the Cold War, when the Soviet Union projected power through massive fleets and nuclear submarines armed with ballistic missiles, the United States proved that true dominance was not always loud. It was not always visible. It did not always come in the form of parades or propaganda. Sometimes, American strength moved in complete silence, miles beneath the ocean's surface, inside waters the Kremlin believed were untouchable. While Soviet commanders trusted their defensive perimeters and surveillance systems, an American submarine was already there, listening, learning, and leaving without a trace. That submarine was the USS Parche, and its missions would become a defining example of how innovation, discipline, and technological superiority quietly gave America the edge. During the Cold War, the oceans became a hidden battlefield. Beneath the waves, nuclear submarines stalked one another in a deadly game of strategy and survival. Detection meant vulnerability. Silence meant power. The Soviet Navy invested heavily in anti-submarine warfare systems, deploying sensors, patrol aircraft, and guarded maritime zones they considered secure from foreign intrusion. One of those zones was the Sea of Okhotsk, a body of water the Soviets treated almost like internal territory. Running along its seabed was a critical military communication cable, carrying sensitive naval orders and strategic updates between bases. Soviet officials believed it was safe from interception because it lay underwater, deep within a protected perimeter. They were wrong. In conclusion, the story of the USS Parche shows that during the Cold War, true strategic superiority was not defined by visible displays of power, but by precision, innovation, and the ability to operate undetected, qualities that ultimately gave the United States the decisive edge beneath the sea.